All right, we're talking about goals, and this is part 3. Now, I know some of you are new and some of you may have missed the talk, so let me quickly summarize. Number 1, define a goal as a dream with a deadline. You've got this set, how much time it's going to take you to get there, or it's just going to stay a dream. Second thing, 4 things you want to think about when you're selecting a goal. It's got to be meaningful. It's got to be important to you. It's got to be measurable. You have to be able to count it, see it. I can't help somebody to be less shy, because how do you measure shy?
Yeah, you can't.
But I can count how many times a little person does this when I approach them. So it's got to be measurable. All right, it's got to be realistic. If you've never lost weight before in a goal program, don't set out to do 30 pounds in 15 days. Okay, you're reaching too high. Keep things realistic for you. And then 4, and we already said it, really, deadline. Make sure there's a time limit. That's how we get things done the best. So we have what we call long-term goals and short-term goals. And the short-term goals are the ones that, again, maybe a day or a week, an hour or 2, maybe you're done. But the long-term goals are going to take weeks, months, maybe even years. And then the secret that really gets missed about successfully achieving a goal is take the big goals and shift them into smaller goals. Now, I know you may hear that and go, oh, but do it. It's doing it. And all of a sudden, the goals that just seem to never be able to get done, when you chip them down, they get done without much effort, without much stress at all. It's amazing. So let's say, for example, little Jimmy's got to clean his room. His room is a mess. How many of you have messy rooms? Enough. Enough. That's good. All right? Now, parents, how about this? All right, let's pretend this is Monday. Let's set a goal. By Friday, that room's going to be clean. By Friday, the room will be clean. Monday, short-term goal 1, let's get all the paper things up off the floor. That's it, just the paper things. You did that? Excellent. Tuesday, get all the plastic things up and off the floor. Excellent. And so on and so forth. What's a child probably going to do? After the first day, they're probably just going to start doing everything else, because all of a sudden you're going, hey, that was good. You see? So the short-term goals, the reinforcement, the praise comes more quickly, and that, for a lot of young people, it speeds up the process. But it's a way, this is what is not going to work. All right, you got 5 minutes to clean your room. And it's like a half a foot thick in there. Again, you see how that is an unrealistic goal. All right? Parents, here's another one. They're focused on the TV or whatever screen they're in at that time, right? Because they're always looking at a screen one way, but they're focused in on it. You say, come on, it's time to go. They don't hear you, right? Because they're focused on something. Chip that into a smaller goal. Jimmy, I just want to remind you, in 5 minutes, we're going to be leaving. Look at me for a minute. 5 minutes, okay? Okay, good one. And then 5 minutes later, you come out. But they're trying to just say, all right, let's go. It's just about the same as saying, clean your room in 5 minutes. It's hard when someone's focused on something to break away from that, but it's something a lot of parents have trouble with. Try some of these things, and I can almost guarantee you you'll begin to see some changes. Now, to help you really understand this, look at our belts. You've seen our belt system. At the beginning belts, we have 9 colored belts that people go through. White, yellow, orange, purple, blue, green, red. And then we have 2 levels of brown. We say brown and brown-black. See, that brown-black belt is the belt you get just before you test for black belt. So it's kind of like a brown belt turning into a black belt, sort of. And then there are 10 degrees of black belt. You start off with 1 stripe, and then you work your way up. You see that when you have a bar, the bars mean 5 stripes. So 5, 6, and 7. And so forth, just like that. That's the way we do it in Kempo. Now, if you come in and you say your first day, I want to be a 10th degree black belt. Again, you see how that's a long way down the road. You're going to be sitting for a very long time. So that's not the goal. You want to set it first. All right? So what we do is we take the black belt goal and we break it down into smaller goals, the colored belts. Those would be the short-term goals. The black belt's the long-term goal. And then here we do one more thing. We take those colored belts and we break those down into shorter steps. And so now, all of a sudden, every 5 weeks you put a stripe, and all the beginner belts have 3 stripes on them. So you have 2 black stripes, and the 3rd stripe is a red stripe, and what that means, you're now promoted to the next color. We don't give the belts out in class because there'd be a little bit here, a little bit there. We come together. I'll talk about that in just a moment, have a ceremony for that. Okay? But that's how we take a big goal like a black belt and chip it into smaller pieces and chip that into smaller pieces. And sometimes when children get to the middle ranks, even their parents, they'll go, is it time already for the next belt? Because every 5 weeks goes awfully quickly. And before you know it, again, you're accomplishing things that some of your colleagues, some of your classmates, your young people aren't going to accomplish. Setting goals really get you places where kids who aren't setting goals hardly ever see. All right, so think of it now. Think of a little person beginning, and they look at that belt ladder up there and all the belts that they have to do. It seems like an awfully big thing, but we've set it up just like goals are supposed to be set up, so that one step at a time, every 5 weeks, you get closer and closer to becoming a black belt. Okay? And then, now here's an important thing. When you achieve a goal, when you get it, when you make it, when you get that new belt, celebrate. And that's what we do here too. On week 5 of the graduation, to help everybody celebrate, we have a big ceremony. All right, week 5, Friday nights, we have a big ceremony. Everybody comes in, all the kids line up, all the adults line up, everyone getting a new belt. They demonstrate a little of the karate that they're doing so that their parents can see it, because we don't like things hidden here. All right, everything is right out there in the open. We want people to see what people are learning and what they're getting their belts for. All right, then at the very end of the ceremony, we have this ceremonial boot kick. And if you go online and you look at like Parker or Kempo boot kicks, booster kicks they're called sometimes, you'll see all kinds of pictures of Kempo students getting their boot into the next level. It's just a symbolic kick. All right? And this was Mr. Len getting his last year, going to 4th degree black belt after 25 years. And he can probably tell you there aren't many people left that were in his white belt class, because that's just what happens. You set goals and you keep focusing on it, and all of a sudden, you start getting into the upper levels. It's really cool. And you hardly even know what's happening as it's happening. Okay? So celebrating, patting yourself on the back is such an important part of goal achievement. But then, take this information and bring it home and use it at school, use it at work, use it at home. And that's what I did in the early 1980s. This is the famous doctoral dissertations that you hear about. Right? It's like a big experiment that you do, and I mean a big one. I worked on it by taking these ideas and chipping them down into smaller pieces. I didn't try to write the whole thing at once. I said, all right, here are the steps I'm going to do. An experiment, you have to base it on stuff that's already been done. Experiments already done. So the first thing is pick out a bunch of experiments that set a foundation for what you want to investigate. So the first thing I did is I wrote out twice. Every night I would write out 2 index cards, what my references were going to be, and a little summary of that, so that when I started writing, that part was done. And then all of a sudden, 1 page became 2. 2 pages became a chapter. 1 chapter became 2. And again, I didn't need to have it done until August of 1986, but I had it done the previous fall, because I got started and I worked at it and I got it finished. I was one of the very few people at that time to go back to internship, because I was away on internship. I had to fly in to defend this, to go back as a doctor. I was able to go back, and at the hospital that I was working, I could now sign off on tests and things like that for myself. All because I took the ideas that you're hearing right now and I used them outside the karate school. And wow, does it work? So whatever you got to do, don't look at it like, oh my goodness, chip it into smaller pieces. Take 1 piece at a time, pat yourself for each one. Before you know it, you'll be accomplishing things you never thought you could. All right, there's goals. 301, I guess. I hope you had fun with that. Give yourselves a